Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Jacqueline, the Spicy Spectrum Sage, here with another episode. It's been about 2 weeks since my last one. Life be lifing, and I got away from me. Cut out some of the sound. Okay, so as you can see, I am still in a shelter. I was supposed to have moved into my apartment that I signed the lease on July 1st. It is now August 4th, and I am still here, so I'm tweaking a little bit. But I do believe in divine timing, so if I'm still here, I know that there's a good reason why I'm still here. So I just want to take a minute while I'm still in the homeless system to debunk a few myths, a few ideas, a few misconceptions people might have about the homeless shelter system. Disclaimer, this is going to be a bit of a gripe session, but I do need you to understand that I do feel very grateful. I do feel very appreciative. I am very happy that my son has someplace safe to be. This is more about him being safe than it is about me being comfortable because let's be fucking real. None of this situation is comfortable. If I didn't have a special needs child, I would be on a plane and living somewhere in Southeast Asia teaching English to little children because that's what I was doing before I had a child. So, to get that out of the way, I am in a family style shelter because I have a child that needs more than I can do by myself. And I'm sorry if that offends whatever future person might take offense to that. To get into the shelter system in New York City, you have to have lived in New York for 2 years beforehand. You might not understand that, you might not know that. I definitely didn't know it going in, and it just so happened to be lucky, coincidence, divine timing that the experiences that Gray and I and Mark had before we ended up homeless was exactly 2 years. Like, it's freaking crazy if you think about it a little bit. But when you go into the Path Center, it's in the Bronx. It's about 100 and I want to say 151st. So it's all the way up there in the Bronx. I'm in Brooklyn, so me and Gray would have to take the train all the way up there. You wait in line after going through screening. The lines are ridiculous. They are overcrowded. They are the worst representations of people on their worst days. Like the parents are stressed, the kids are stressed, everybody's stressed. Um, I learned the most of my emotional intelligence by going through the PATH system because what happens when you go through the system is it takes about an hour to get through the first line to get to see the person at the counter. The person at the counter will start a check for you. They will take your information. They will take your ID. They will give you a slip. The slip means nothing. You need to understand that going in, or you will lose your mind. And I'm going to tell you, I started the process in August of 2024, and I kept going through the process until December of 2024. It took me August, September, October, November, December. It took me 5 months to get approved, to be found eligible. 5 months. So I'm going to tell you why that happened. So when you go to the shelter, they will take all of your information from you and give you that slip of paper that I already told you means nothing. So they give you this little piece of paper. Sorry about that. I'll get to that because that was actually a perk to where I am. They give you this piece of paper. It tells you which floor of the building to go to. I usually got sent to the second floor. Third floor? I think it's the third floor. When you get up there, it is a sensory overloading nightmare. There are all these people in various stages of homelessness. Like some people have everything they've ever owned in bags, some people have nothing but the clothes on their back. The only thing we have in common is that we are all parents who have been facing homelessness and we need a place to be placed. The first time I went through was pretty streamlined. It was pretty standard. Like we went through and we were giving an address. Mark eventually originally went through with us, but he wasn't allowed to stay with us because we were only domestic partners. You would have had to go downtown, file a piece of paper in the court, pay a fee, get it stamped, notarized, and bring it in for him to be able to stay with me, not being my husband. And we were breaking up, so I wasn't going to do that. And apparently he decided not to do it as well. So we've still maintained our separation. We got our location in Bed-Stuy. We were actually given a bus. A bus took us from the Bronx to Brooklyn. The entire first process took from 9 o'clock in the morning until 8:30 p.m. going through the line, waiting for 4 or 5 hours to get placed, waiting for another 3 or 4 hours to get a bus. It was a long, drawn out process. And when I tell you my nerves were like steel wool by the time it was all over, like someone had just rubbed steel wool over my nerves, that's how I felt. So we get a location, we get a placement, we get set up in a fifth floor walk up in Bed-Stuy. Gray is still in a stroller, so they gave me permission to keep the stroller in the ground floor. There are social workers in the basement, and you get assigned a social worker. They will help you with your packet once everything is approved and you are found eligible. The problem is you can't be found eligible until they verify all of the information in your application, which means all the places that you stayed before. I don't know if you guys listened to my previous videos about the hell that was my New York City experience moving here from South Korea. Gray and I stayed with Mark and his bum friends in the Bronx for 3 months. Then we had an Airbnb, a Verbo, in Bed-Stuy for 6 months. Then we had an Airbnb in the Flatlands for 1 month. Then we had a Verbo in, where were we? In Little Haiti for a month. Then we were in Jersey City for a month. Then Gray and I were at my aunt's house in Connecticut, and I suspect that Mark was sleeping in a park because we were still together, but he didn't want to go to Connecticut with me and be with my family, so that's what he did. We came back to Jersey. Then we had the crazy apartment in Flatlands slash Canarsie. I think it's more Flatlands. But yeah, that's how many places that we stayed in just the first 2 years that we were here in New York. And every single one of those places had to be validated, verified, and signed off on before I would be found eligible. So what that means is they had to call every person that rented the place to me, or I had to provide a receipt, or both. Some of them weren't even my places, they were Mark's places, so I had to track him down and get his information. They rejected me, I want to say 7 times. So every 2 weeks, if you get rejected, you have to go all the way back to PATH. You have to spend another 6 hours minimum in this place. And I want you guys to understand that if I'm trying to keep a job, I'm trying to work, I'm trying to teach online, you're disrupting my day every 2 weeks to have to do this. I'm also autistic. It messes with my ability to maintain the structure and order of my life. It takes me a while to decompress from that and get myself back together after such a stressful situation. You can't wear headphones. If you wear headphones, you miss your number being called. So now I'm just all open, raw, and just taking in all this sensory overload. So that was the process of being found eligible. I was finally found eligible in December. So December, January, and February, we waited to get a voucher. We finally got a voucher in, I want to say early February, I finally got a voucher. I messed up. I'm going to take full responsibility for it. I didn't know it was going to, actually, I'm not going to lie to you. I knew it was going to have some repercussions. I knew it was going to have some consequences, but it was worth it. I needed it. I left my son with my mom for a week, and my mom lives in North Carolina. When you are homeless, you have to stay homeless. So because my mom watched my son so that I could have a week of not losing my mind, I lost my placement at my Bed-Stuy one bedroom apartment in that family shelter. And I was placed here in this hotel room, hotel style shelter. I think it used to be a Days Inn by the signage all around. But yeah, so I got spanked. I had to go back through the PASS system. I had to be found eligible again, which that part didn't take that long this time. I've had a voucher since February. I've been looking for apartments from February all the way until May. May is when I looked at 9 apartments in one day and applied for 7 of them and finally got 1 of them. So that was the PASS situation to get in the shelter. Now, once you're in the shelter, each shelter has its own rules on how you're supposed to live your life. The last one was more of an apartment style, so you had to sign in when you came into the building at the security, and you had to sign out when you left. They would have spot checks once a day. They would have fire drills sporadically, like once or twice a month. You had a full kitchen. You had a full refrigerator, you had a full bathroom. It was you could not bring your own personal things. The amount of things that I got in trouble for. I had a Keurig coffee machine for my last job. I would get in trouble for that and have to hide it under the sink during inspections. I put stuff on the walls, little candle holders that I found free on the sidewalk, but I used sticky tape, and that was almost a problem. A little bookshelf that I had about yay high for books on it. Anything that personalized the thing, anything that would make you feel comfortable was kind of frowned upon. But these are families. I mean, I know you don't want us to get too comfortable. You don't want us to feel like we're feeding off the system, but I have a baby and I don't want my baby to know how fucked up the world actually is for us right now. He doesn't need to know that. So that's another job that you have. And you could see the toil. Like, I honestly believe that autism is a gift for God if your parents love you, because that love ball, like Gray didn't, he doesn't have trauma. He doesn't know that his life is anything but I spend time with my mommy. I see my mommy in the morning. I see my mommy at night. I see my mommy on the weekends. We have a good time. That's all he gets. He doesn't have to understand the stress of money mismanagement, relationship fallout, whatever it is that has contributed to you being in these circumstances. With me, it was all. So, yeah, I've been very appreciative of Gray through this situation because he just likes a frictionless surface. As long as I give him his snacks, as long as I give him his good day, he's happy. He's a happy baby. Other kids were not so lucky in that first shelter. This shelter is actually a migrant shelter. So the last one was American people with American kids speaking English. This one is Spanish, Haitian, Polish, Chinese, Russian. I think that's everyone. I might have heard some Jamaican, but that might have been one of the staff. I heard it, I didn't see it. But yeah, it's like I'm one of the few English native speakers here. I'm one of the few American-born people here. Staff are all American. Well, most of the staff are Americans. A lot of the security are not Americans or immigrants. Um, but yeah, it's like being here. It's a little bit more governmental. Like, it's very more. You could feel that this is a program. Because we don't have a kitchen, we have that little tiny mini fridge bullshit that you see right there. That's it. And if you see the little styrofoam containers right there, that's what the food is served in. I'm going to be honest with you. It is 2 days before my benefits refill, and I was a little splurgy earlier in the month because I had a friend come into town. So I didn't handle my budget as well as I could, and I'm on fumes for the next day. But the food here is not very good. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, there's vending machines, there's ice machines. Um, it's edible. It doesn't make me feel sick. It doesn't make me feel like it's slowly poisoning me, which sometimes you could find that feeling. But it's not tasty. It's not delicious. The closest I can describe it to is like hospital food. Like, hospital food usually smells good, and then you taste it and it's like, how did you take all the flavor out of whatever this is? I don't understand it. That's what the food is here. And like I said, I'm very grateful that I have this. But my baby won't eat anything downstairs. Maybe a banana, maybe some juice. And 3 meals a day, he's not eating anything. I have to boil noodles, and I have to melt cheese on bread in the microwave because he used to eat cheese, grilled cheese at home when we had a stove. So it's like I'm very much minimized on how I can take care of my child based on what I have access to in this place. So that's one of the downsides. We have to sign in and sign out every time we leave. And there's sometimes a line, there's sometimes a jam up. The employees here very obviously hate their jobs. I would say 75 to 80% of them are what I would consider unprofessional. I'm going to be real. Like, I'm old school. I was born in the 80s. I was raised in the 90s. My mom is Southern. She is very old family values. Like, she will slap you in the mouth if you're disrespectful. Please and thank you are not the magic words. They are the only words. And I'm in a place where there's a generational thing, there's a cultural thing, there's an ideological thing. It's all happening, and these people just complain all the time about every aspect of taking care of us. They huff and they puff when they have to microwave our food. They walk slowly when they have to get our mail. They talk shit about us. when we ask for stuff, they don't know I know because I speak English, and they think they're talking shit to Spanish speakers and Creole speakers and Patois speakers, and it's not me. So, yeah, there's that, which makes it a little bit unpleasant. We have security guards on the floors, and I don't know if that's supposed to make us feel safe, but the security guards like to have full conversations on their cell phones or play music. Like, these walls are paper thin. I've been woken up in the middle of the night almost every night. Like, I've tried to play white noise to drown it out, but it's still like that sharp sound of a high voice as soon as they hit the floor. It's like, this is a hotel. These are not apartments. This is not reinforced doors. I basically wake up just because of people having full conversations right outside the door that doesn't belong to me. I work from home. I teach English online. At the end of the month, they throttle the internet. I don't know if it's bills and payments or money, but it's not my internet, so I can't really argue about it. I just have to maneuver around my classes the best way I can. But then I feel like I'm penalized for not making enough money in a quarter to justify the benefits that I'm trying to ask for. So it's like, I'm trying to work, but you're hemming me up. You're keeping me from working. Going to Path, going to HRA to get cash assistance and you cannot get a voucher to go into a homeless shelter unless you also ask for benefits. Didn't really want the benefits, had to ask to get an apartment, to get help. So you do everything that you're supposed to do, but it's almost a part-time job. It's almost a job to be a ward of the state. Applying for gray Social Security, you get an appointment, they still make you sit for like 3 or 4 hours. So it's like everything you do is designed to chip away at your time and or your patience. And like I said, I have to strengthen my ability to have emotional intelligence through this whole process. Like, I learned emotional intelligence through this whole process. I started in October. I'm just now getting the hang of it. Like, I've just now started. Like, over the weekend I had a couple of challenging things that happened, and I'm good. I'm stoic. What do you call it? I'm nonchalanting it. So, the knock on the door that made me interrupt the video was actually maid service. So that is one of the perks of living in the shelter system. We have maid service that comes 3 times a week. She changes the bed linen, she cleans the bathroom, she vacuums the floor, and she takes out the trash. And I usually try to take out my own trash and tidy up as much as I can. I live with a child that I have nicknamed Gray the Uncleaner, and that's not me being ironic. It's like, he literally will see the clean floor and decide, absolutely not, not on my watch. And he'll dump stuff, look at it, nod and smile, and then walk away, because that's all he wants is chaos and destruction. So the cleaning lady is definitely top notch. That's a perk. The food is not good, but it's filling. It's edible, so that's a perk. Some of the staff members are really very caring, so that's a perk that makes up for the ones that are just doing it for the paycheck. The location is amazing. I'm a 15-minute walk to Barclay Center. There's a library on the way. Fifth Avenue, the Brooklyn Fifth Avenue is 1 block that way, so that's always a very nice part of town to walk around. I could walk to the, what do you call it, the Grand Army Plaza. I could walk to Grand Army Plaza because I bump up against Park Slope. So all in all, this has not been the worst situation of my life, even though it felt like it several times throughout. Like, this is just divine intervention. This is just giving me, like, I was in burnout. Like, I was literally about to die this time last year. Like, I didn't know why I was alive. I didn't know what the point was. And this gave me a time to take a pause, a time to sit down, a time to relax. And even though it has had its challenges, it has been a blessing in disguise. And I can honestly say that I'm very grateful for the things that I've gone through because of how they made me as a person. Like, I wouldn't be who I am if I hadn't gone through what I'm going through. And hopefully I will be able to use that to help other people so that they don't have to go through it the hard way like I did. So I'm going to wrap up there. I hope you understand a little bit more about the homeless situation, the homeless system, how it is not quite as cushy as you might think it to be. Like, it could be, but I think they make it a little bit harder on purpose so that you Don't abuse it, don't use it, don't need it, or at least it's not the easy out that it seems on its face. So I will be back hopefully sooner than last time, and hope you all have a great time. Hit like, subscribe, come back for more tips, more tricks, more strategies. I am Jacqueline, the Spicy Spectrum Sage. Have a good day.